Hello everyone, this is Random Poco, Airsoft Stuff, and I'm the Russian guy. Yesterday I did a Twitch stream about helmets and why, well, not why, but should you build yourself a helmet? Should you buy a helmet? Should you make it look good? Will it look good if you just buy it and wear it as it is? And it was quite fun. It ended up at 5.5 hours. Some guys from the Discord, from the community joined, showed up their helmets. We across our experiences and ended up with kind of a conclusion to it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do that in English in a quicker format, in a more classic my style of video. So should you get a helmet? Now, whether you've been playing or you had to stay at home because, you know, the big Rona stuff, you probably have been browsing Instagram, YouTube or whatnot, looking at pictures of cool guys flexing for the gram. Most of these guys, of course, run helmets. Some of them will probably look like this. And you may think, well, that looks cool, I should get me one of those. Now, yeah, you start browsing the shops, your usual shops, you'll find out that these helmets, the basic setups, the basic helmet itself, no setup at all, ranges from about 20 euros to 100. Replicas, of course, the real ones, the ballistic ones, are about 1,000 if you can get them. If you're in the US, you probably could get them. Here in Europe, you'll find it quite difficult, but you still can get them, especially if you are using some expensive gear, Facebook groups or whatever. So that's already quite pricey. And what's the functionality of the helmet in Airsoft? If you're thinking about protection, think again, because the helmet will cover your head and some of the back of your head. If you compare it to a ball cap, which costs a fraction of what the helmet costs, it's almost the same. You won't have the back of your head. Take a look at those players who are most concerned with the head protection, or overall protection. That would be the speed softers. And if you're really looking for something to protect your head, you should be looking at the full face mask from dive or paintball or whatever. I'm not into that stuff, so I'm not going to go in there. But if you're really looking for something like that, stay away of the helmet. These guys are the ones for whom the head protection is the most important thing. And they're not using helmets, they're using full face protection. If you want to stay somewhere in between where you want some protection, but you don't want to get into the whole full face mask shit, the ball cap will do just fine. Any ball cap, AliExpress for 3 euros, work just fine. If a BB hits your head when you're wearing a ball cap with your hair and everything, and it hurts, that's probably either real close or sniper or whatever, heavy BBs, high-powered guns. It also depends on your local limits, etc. But if you're really concerned with that, full face mask. So no real function of protection with the helmets if we compare it to other options. The other functionality will be to set up comms, something like the Comtac headset. Now, this will usually come just as a headset. I bought it this way. This is from Sky. I always mess them up. You will find the link in the description because they sell straight from AliExpress. They ship worldwide. And I tried the Z Tactical ones, which are probably the most widespread Comtac knockoffs. They are shit. These ones are decent. They will run comms even though they are off, whether it's because you turn them off or because you run out of batteries. So that's a good thing. You won't stay, the headset will not lose the comms capability even if you don't have batteries on it, or they spent, or you turned it off. So that's a good thing. The sound quality is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. And they seem sturdy enough. I've been using this for a couple of years, no, a year and a half, something like that now. However, 2020 does not really count. I played like 5 games at all, and most of them I did not even run comms because I didn't need them. So a helmet will be for comms. I did try to run the headset as it is with the ball cap on for a Milsim game, and it was way too tight on my head. It ended up hurting. So this setup with the helmet is much more comfortable for me. And I have my head size is on the smaller side. It's 57 centimeters, 56 and a half, somewhere between 56 and 57, depending on the day. I don't know why, but it's on the S/M mark. So even for me, the headset for the Comtacs from Taxkai was a bit uncomfortable, but this setup is just fine. So for comms, this is my main helmet, the one I use for most games, the one you will see in most of my Instagram pictures. I did have a predecessor before it, and I'll talk about that and why you should buy a decent, even if you buy in copies, you should buy the decent one and not go with the cheap one for 20 euros. I'll explain that as well. For some of you, of course, knots will be the main concern as of why should you build a helmet. However, if you are in the budget to afford night vision for airsoft, you will probably be well in the budget to build yourself a helmet, and you should definitely do that. The whole mount and arm for the knots will be your main concern, because those things are expensive, and if it breaks, well, that's bad. So that's not for you. If you just want to run something like a GoPro on it, should you really? I mean, go ahead, but thinking of building a helmet, which is expensive, by the way, just so you can run a GoPro, I don't think it's the best choice. However, it is the most sturdy platform for that. So I guess go ahead. But if it's just for comms, there are other choices. For Comtacs, it is the best choice, in my opinion, to have a helmet set up for them. But there are so many other options regarding comms, and so many games where you don't really need them. So keep a look on the games you usually play, the type of game you play the most, whether you're running comms because you really need them, because you're doing teamwork, because it's a bigger game, Milsim game, or you're just running around indoor CQB and you run comms because it's cool, because cool guys have it, then you don't really have a need for them. So functionality wise, pretty limited in Airsoft, of course. Real life, that's a whole different question. Don't have any experience in that, but this channel is not for this. How much does it cost? This setup in particular. So the helmet itself, the base helmet, is from TMC. This is a quite nice replica of it. I got it from eBay in the UK because none of the shops that I usually buy from closer to me had them in stock. However, just yesterday during the Twitch stream, we checked out and one of the shops in Spain had them in stock. All colors except for the Coyote Brown. I got the green. If you're gonna put a cover on it, you don't really care. The cover, this is an original one from Upscore. I got it secondhand. Cost me 60. The guy who sold it to me, it cost him around 80. TMC does make replicas. They seem quite okay. Most people use those, so that's okay. The Counterweight Pouch is from Emerson, quite cheap. I got it from AliExpress. I do think I have a link for you. If not, just search for Counterweight Pouch and you'll probably pop up in AliExpress, in your local shop, wherever. The patches, this was a gift. The Black Bat, a Jolly Roger. This was a gift from a member of the community. Really thankful for it because I really wanted one of those. And the Russian flag patch in Multicam is from AliExpress. So just patches. The knot mount is included, and I think that will be all. Everything else is included. So the pads, the everything. So this will be around, I paid around 100 for the helmet, 60 for the cover, 100 and something for the Comtacs and the attachment. The push to talk will be also a part of the setup in a way, but it's not quite part of the setup of the helmet, but you should have, of course, a push to talk that goes with the Comtacs. So it's kind of there. So we look at at around 300 euros for something that's just there for the looks until RAM comes. Now think for yourself, is it worth it for you? If you have everything set up, if you have your boots, your nice protective goggles, proper certification, your trustworthy AEG, maybe even GBB, you have the plate carrier, the belt, everything, then you should probably go. But my priorities will be, especially if you're a new player and you're thinking, well, I already have some plate carrier, I have my gun, I have some goggles, this and that, I should get a helmet. Priorities for me will be, first, protective goggles, iPro. ESS is my way to go. I run the crossbows. The ESS eyes are cheaper, not as good for fog, but fog? Is it fog? Oh, you know what I mean. But it also depends on the shape of your head. You should look for something that when you put it on, it will cover most of the sides and all that. So if you can try them on, do it. If you buy them from Amazon, that will be the best, because that way you can try them on, and if they don't fit, you can just return them for free and get something else. This will be the first concern, the first item where you should dump your money. Then of course will be something like a trustworthy AEG, something that you will feel comfortable playing every weekend that you play, of course, not every weekend, of course. That will be the second, of course. Then we will have the boots. Now, if you're thinking, well, I'm playing indoor fields, CQB, why would I need mountain boots? Well, it's fairly simple. Let me just demonstrate you real quick. This is a BB. Whether you're playing, well, especially if you're playing indoor CQB, floor will be flooding with this. This is a pair, but this is one Adidas Gazelle sneaker. If you put the BB on, you know what that means. It hurts. You take a boot and you throw that BB, it would stay somewhere there. So even if you're playing indoors, look for trekking boots, maybe low tops if you just play indoors. If you're playing both, mid tops. If you're really concerned about ankle injuries, high tops. But really important. After that, you should build your load bearing system. Not just one piece of equipment, not just one plate carrier, whatever works for you. For me, it's the combination of a really loaded belt with almost everything and a plate carrier with just a couple mags. Maybe for you, it's just one big chest rig. Maybe you have one of those bulky ass plate carriers with everything on it. Maybe you just have one belt, no plate carrier at all. But this is the stuff where you carry all that you need for a game. Also a nice concern, but not as important as the previous stuff, because the boots and the goggles are protection, keep it safe, and the gun is, well, so you can play. And only then, only after that, I will consider going for the helmet. Before the uniform it's more of a, you can use an old pair of jeans, throw some knee pads on it, dark colored t-shirt, polo, hoodie, whatever, it will work for you. So I have 4 helmets in total, but I had another one previously to that. This was the first one I had back from when I started playing. I was 12 years old and I was just discovering airsoft. And of course I wanted a proper gun, a proper Tokimarui AK Beta Spetsnaz, because I was a little kid, I was 12. That was the back then me sized AK. I was too small for 74M or something like that. There were just released, the VFC AKS 74U was just released, but it was 450 euros. And when I told that to my dad, he went, I'm not buying a toy gun for 450 euros for you to run around in the woods. Stick for the Tokimarui, but only if you get straight A's. And the only subject that I didn't have an A was English, ironically. So I aced that, and he bought me the Tokyo Marui AK Beta. And when we got to the shop, he saw the helmet, put it on my head and said, well, you know what? You should get one of those. And he got me this helmet. It has seen some stuff, but I don't know. I keep it for kind of memories, kind of. It was 2005. Good times. I also have the original 6B47 ballistic helmet. This is the one issued to the from the Ratnik program. Not all units have it, of course, as yet. It's quite a big army, quite a lot of corruption there. So it's the modern take on the Russian helmet. Still pretty old-fashioned in a way. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is, but the build itself, it's a kilogram and something. It's ballistic. I think level 3 protection at least. I think Oxide has a nice test on these helmets, and this is part, of course, of my reenactment Ratnik kit for 2016. I used it in a game once because other than looks, it has no function whatsoever. Coming again at the non-functional helmets, I end up running the cap from the Ratnik program, which is just a standard cap. Then my last helmet setup, this is also just for show. These are not real nuts, of course. I mean, they could be if I was more financially responsible, but I'm not. This is, I mean, I like the way it looks, but it's just so cheap. It's not cheap. It didn't, I checked, and I think all the elements in here cost around 150 or something euros, but it is made on the cheap. Chinese as fuck, Mich 2002. You'll see the link. When you open the link, you'll say, that's not the same helmet I have here. No, it's the same helmet, but I removed the rails. I removed the knot mount. I used a paint for exterior that has a granular feel, so I can replicate the material of the helmet, the ballistic material. Then I painted it with olive Krylon paint, spray paint. I added some dashes of sand Krylon spray paint just to make it look a bit more dirty. I added some Velcros, auto adhesive Velcros from AliExpress, a knockoff MS2000 from AliExpress as well. You'll see the links there. It does also work as a counterweight pouch, which is good because this thing, even though it's a dummy knockoff, it's quite heavy. Then a couple patches. This is for a reenactment kit that I've been building since early 2018. And I just checked the Excel sheet for that, and I have a long way to go still. I anachronically switched the pads and the straps of the helmet for a Chinese knockoff of the OpsCore straps, so I can have that bulge, the round thingy adjustment on the back. And I spray painted it in black and hid it with a bit of duct tape. Black duct tape, because you never know when you may need some. Sotac Wilcox knockoff of the L2G05 NVG mount and arm, and knockoff FMA, not the deluxe edition of the PVS 15. If you really want to get knockoff NVG and all that, go for the deluxe edition, because this one even has the sticker put on badly. Looks awful. No lights or whatsoever. So this is one of those setups that kind of looks cool, but you will just use it for the picture. Playing with this on, I think it's kind of stupid. I mean, unless you're playing a game when you have a rule where using a combination of plate carrier and ballistic helmet, even if it's a replica, you will get some bonus like extra lives or something like this. No function at all. But other than that, I tried to go on the cheap, but it still became quite expensive. And apart from this being a piece of a reenactment kit, I would never build one of these. However, I do like the way it looks, but just for the picture. Do it for the gram. The predecessor of the TMC, which I say again is my main helmet, was a non-deluxe edition of an FMA bump helmet. So it's the one that's really lightweight and has the holes up here, because it's replicating a non-ballistic helmet, just a bump helmet. It was cheap, it was around 20 euros. I bought it from Gunfire, and in the description you'll find a link of a very similar model. I bought the green, it had the round holes. This one is Coyote, it has different shaped holes, but overall it's the same. The straps did not have the round thingy, bad thing. The pads are shit, and the rails did not even hold the attachment of the Comtacs, which is the main reason why I switched that helmet. The cover I used back then was a Multicam cover from Emerson. It kind of did the job, but it still looked awful. Much worse than this one. But still, that configuration was quite expensive for what it was, and it didn't even work for the main function of the helmet for me, which is of course holding those Comtacs. So I gave it to a friend of mine. My friend of mine is currently running it. Looks like shit, still looking like shit, but hey, he's experimenting. And with the helmets as well. So if you're still looking to build one of these, what we talked with the guys, because some of the guys had the FMA Deluxe editions of the Ballistic Hi Cut helmets, and the main difference was the thickness of the helmet itself. This thing you see in here in green, it was much thinner, and I'm guessing lighter weight. So that would be the only counterpart to it. All the guys that had the deluxe version of the FMAs could use the rails perfectly for the Comtacs. The covers fit perfectly as well. All the other stuff, of course, will. What's the basic stuff that you will need in order for your helmet to look decent? A nice helmet to begin with. The best options out there for me, I think, that you can find will be the TMC, both Obscore High Cut and the Cry Airframe copies, and the FMA Deluxe editions. Make sure that they are the FMA Deluxe editions. You can tell because the non-deluxe editions will not have the round thingy here. You will have some shitty straps. Once you have that, Comtacs. A helmet without Comtacs, even if you're running a different setup for comps, they kind of look empty, hollow, soulless. This is what adds to the look of it. Couple patches, if you're into that. Avoid flags if you're not like really patriotic or building some decent kit. I mean, run a Jolly Roger, your team patch, call sign, something like that. Maybe a Meme War veteran patch, I have one of those. Counterweight pouch does add to the look because most of the units in real life and most of the people in real life who use these, of course, run knots. So a counterweight will be in place even if you don't even have the knots, because you're playing on it during the day, you're taking pictures during the day, you will have the knots off. So that will do. You can save money on that. The cover, I recommend it because it does help. Usually the material that's used for both the real helmets and the knockoff helmets look a bit shiny. I mean, it's not like this, but it's a bit shiny. So even this one, it's Krylon over, but still, if you're running through the bushes, this is much more visible than this. So a helmet is nice. Multicam, of course, is the way to go. The best thing you can do is match the color or camouflage pattern with either your plate carrier or your belt or both. If you want to run it just as it is, you can experiment maybe using different colors for the mount and the rails. You can take the rails and the mount off, spray paint it, put them back on. Different color velcros, you can get those as well. I think in green and black look really nice. In my case, that would look somewhere closer to my plate carrier. I think I'll try that because I'm using a green plate carrier now with black elements. I'm not using a multicam plate carrier. Not really thinking that I will in the future. The belt, however, is still multicam, so it can go both ways. But it's kind of pain in the ass because to take the cover out, you have to unscrew the NVG mount. Some mostly cheaper helmet covers will go around the NVG mount, but this gives it much more stability. It will stay in place. I mean, it's screwed. The fucking thing is screwed to the helmet. And I mean, it looks real nice. You can see, look at the fabric, multicam fabric, look at it. So that's fine. And maybe something like a V-light or a strobe light, something in that line is usually added to those. I don't have one right now because the V-lights I bought from FMA had the Velcro part. The glue just will not hold and they look awful. They did recommend me yesterday during the streaming some shoe glue for it. I'll try that. If it comes around, maybe I'll do an update, maybe in a different video of a full kit or whatever. V-lights are quite useful in night games because when you get hit in night games, you will probably have to run some kind of light to identify you as a player who's out of the game. So I got a blue one and a green one, which are the most common colors used. So one team will use blue, another will use a green, and you just strap it on depending on the team you're on. Once you get hit, you click that, fairly visible, and it's both for looks and some functionality. However, who runs helmets in night games without nods? Not that many people. At least I don't, unless I have a bonus for, as I said before, more lives, quicker respawns or whatever. So that'll be my conclusion. Go ahead and use the comment section to leave your thoughts. If you had experience with this, if you had one of those situations that you bought a shitty helmet, then you have to sell it on the cheap or even gift it as I did and get a proper one. Whether you're using a real one because you just got tired of the knockoffs, how's that working out for you? You're not using a helmet at all. Are you thinking about getting a helmet? Have you used the helmet and then ended up selling it even after it was complete because you just didn't use it? This is happening to me a little bit. I mean, I did consistently use it last year, but this year I just took it for the pictures, played a couple of games with it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm switching to the ball cap. Mostly because I did not use comms. If you're using comms, it is useful. And that will be all. If you really find the video useful and you want to support the channel, best thing you can do is just share it. I mean, sure, you can like it and you can subscribe and all that, but you already know that. So if you really want to help out, if you really want this content to reach more people, organically sharing it is the best thing you can do. To your teams, to your friends, somewhere. And that's it. Hasta luego.